what would your advice be to somebody working with college students in a college, emotional wellness or mental health setting? And you have a young person come in, they're gender non-conforming, not sure, without talking to them yet, what their sexual orientation history might be. But is there a need to slow down and sort out homosexuality almost versus or alongside or separate from gender identity, for a young person like that coming in for help?
Yeah, thank you, Candace. I saw a couple of questions like that too, and one of them I think was I've said in some of my writing before that if I had tried to understand myself as somebody who's same-sex attracted, would I still have transitioned? And it's sort of the same sort of question for young people today, which is it's a similar question. If you look at the sexual activity of like self-reported sexual activity of young people who are on this trans identity track, the degree to which they have relations with other people is a way lower than their peers.
Yeah.
Which we're going through a trend right now where young people are having less sex anyway, but frequently the people who are identifying as trans or want to transition are having very little physical intimacy. And there's I don't want to jump into this completely right now, but there's also a lot higher correlation of people who are somewhere on the autism spectrum and identify as trans as well. And I think one of the things that we're seeing here is, and this applied to me when I was younger too, with what I'm about to say, is you have a generation of people who, for various reasons, whether it's because they just don't have very good social skills, which certainly applied to me, whether they're somewhere on the autism spectrum, which can also be something that presents some barriers to building those human relationships. Sometimes because you got to relate to people a little bit differently if you're on the autism spectrum. Whether it's because you've been inside for the last 2.5 years and mostly communicating with people over screens instead of in person, there's all sorts of barriers that might be in front of a young person to having that contact, physical contact with other people. So I would say it's really easy to imagine that if you transition, that's going to give you a lot of opportunities, but you don't change into another person by transitioning. So if you are already having difficulties forming human, like face-to-face relationships with people, transitioning isn't going to turn you into a social butterfly. So those types of skills that you need for relating to people and making friends and hanging out and telling somebody that you like them, that you're interested in them, that you want to have a relationship with them, kissing somebody, holding their hands, going a little further, having a sex with them. Like, these are all skills that you're going to have to, weird to call it a skill, but you have to learn how to do it. And that's going to, in fact, it's actually going to be harder if you transition than if you don't. So for young people who are not having any relationships, I think even if they still want to transition, what I would say is you've got to work on building up having these sorts of intimate relationships with people. And even if you do want to call yourself she, they, or he, they, or they, them, or if you do want to medicalize and transition, don't go out and have surgery before you have sex for the first time. I can tell you from personal experience, that's not the right thing to do. Learn how to build a relationship with somebody and get to the point where you can have some comfort with intimacy, as you are in your body, because you have to
let me
do
ask
you
you
have
that.
to
I mean,
have
that
that.
with you, for your personal experience, is it fair to take away that it sounded like the vast majority of your discomfort with being male was, I'll say, social, as opposed to sort of an internal or inherent gender dysphoria about being a male body, having a male body? Like, if you were on an island all by yourself, would you still have hated being male? Or was it for you more the social, the expectations, and the, rubber hitting the road, with realizing who you were attracted to didn't like make sense, that's all about external interactions and relations with the world, as opposed to just an inherent feeling of severe discomfort with the body that you had?
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because puberty's weird. I don't know how in depth I should get about this in this setting, but I think a lot of people who when you're becoming a more sexual creature, and you're going on from, you're changing from childhood, where you're mostly concerned about getting your homework done so that you can watch your favorite show on TV, right? Like, very very childhood mindset, to a different mindset, which is, wow, I really wish that I could you know be physically intimate with this kid I like. um, Totally different mindset. And when you start having those other thoughts, that are sexual thoughts, they can be very bothersome. They bothered me quite a lot. And one of the reasons why I had that dysphoria is because I did not want to become that sexual creature.
Mm.
And so trying to repress that and um, stuff it down and remove it, which ultimately I did. Uh, I didn't have any way of dealing with that. And there was nobody who I could talk to about that either. I certainly couldn't talk to my father about it. And having that sort of subversion seems like a rational or reasonable way of approaching it when you don't have other healthy outlets.